Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We're your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik, here on December 5th, 2024. We weren't here last week, Thanksgiving and all that, and lucky for Luke, we weren't here last week because I did end up beating him in fantasy football. So that's probably why Luke didn't want to record last week, in addition to Thanksgiving. But we are here this week with recording. And week 13 was probably was that the best week of football this past week?
It was one of the best. It was one of the best.
Competitive, and like the games are actually pretty good.
It was definitely one of the best.
Yeah, I think all but 4 games were decided by one possession. I was looking at that before we started recording today. There's a lot of good games, and we'll recap some of the Week 13 games. There's actually a lot of games that we were discussing to choose to talk about, today, and we got 4 games that we'll talk about. I think all of them have, playoff implications clearly, and hopefully Week 14 is the same. But is there anything you want to add before we get started with our Week 13 recap?
Now let's roll.
All right. Well, the first game we'll talk about, Falcons-Chargers. This game was, I had money on this game. I had money on the Chargers in this game. Didn't really trust Kirk Cousins in his spot, and he kind of proved me right, throwing 4 interceptions. And the last interception I won't really blame him for because, it's 4th and 12, and you need to get a first down, so it's desperation. But the first 3, there were 2 that were really bad interceptions. The pick 6, I don't know if he's going to get the ball out fast enough to the outside of the field. And then the second one in the end zone, he lofted it. So I thought there's somebody clearly open. But he threw it there was I think it was like 3 or 4 Chargers defenders, and I don't understand why he threw that pass.
No, it made no sense, and that's maybe the worst Kirk Cousins game. Like I've always liked Kirk Cousins, but he's had some bad games. That may be the worst one he's played, especially with the implications. It lets Tampa Bay back into discussion, and they had that game. It's bad. I've been defending Kirk Cousins, but Michael Penix's time is coming soon. If they play Vikings this weekend, big game for him, facing his old team. But if they lose that game, I can really see Michael Penix getting in there, getting some playing time. I just think their pass rush showed up, everything showed up, but he was bad. He was really bad. He was the reason they lost. He wasn't just there and they lost. He was the reason they lost. Chargers did not play well, and they still got away with the win. No, that was atrocious from him.
Yeah, and the Chargers, they have no run game. Lad McConkey had 100, I think I wrote it down here, 117 receiving yards. Mm-hmm. And the next highest receiver had 12 yards. And McConkey's a really nice player. He's a really solid player, but he's an undersized slot receiver. And if he's your leading receiver by 105 yards, you don't really have a receiving core. And you kind of saw that in this game too. Chargers offense didn't really generate anything. And they actually made the Falcons pass rush look pretty good. A pass rush that hasn't generated pressure all year. I think got 5 sacks in this game on Justin Herbert. So I think that's even more concerning for Kirk Cousins is the fact that if you told me this game that you would get 5 sacks on Justin Herbert and the offense outside McConkey doesn't really do anything, I'd probably be happy with that and probably think I win that game if I'm the Falcons. But Kirk Cousins struggles. It's been a 3-game stretch where he's thrown 0 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. His QBR is a 61.3 across those 3 games. He hasn't been a good quarterback, and I know there's been talk about Michael Penix coming in against Minnesota. I would not start Penix in this game against this Vikings defense. Even though the defense has fallen off, it's still a complex scheme that I don't really want to rush my rookie quarterback into. But, I think if they do lose this game against the Vikings handedly and Kirk Cousins struggles again, I do think Penix plays in Week 15.
If they lose, I think he plays. If they lose close, I don't think he does. But if Kirk has another bad game, I think it's Penix's time. And, I don't know where that really leads Atlanta with Kirk Cousins' contract. It may just be up to one of those that you just Russell Wilson it, but not nearly as bad. So,
well, the good thing with them,
tough.
If they move on to Michael Penix, if they move on to Michael Penix and he somehow kind of recovers and kind of, leads the Falcons to division title, I think Kirk Cousins out the door. this offseason.
No,
And he may be out.
easily.
He may be out the door even if they move on to Michael Penix and Penix plays well, but they still don't win the division because of a tough schedule. I still think Kirk Cousins out the door. At this point, if Kirk Cousins gets benched, I don't see him in Atlanta next year. So
yeah.
And so I think he has a no trade clause, but he's going to accept he's going to erase that trade clause if they're saying you're not going to be our starter next year. So they're probably gonna have to eat a lot of cap space if they decide to go that route. But that was one reason I was really hesitant on Kirk Cousins, like paying him $100 million guaranteed, coming off an Achilles tear. Kirk Cousins he's always underwhelmed me in the biggest spots, and that's why I was kind of I wasn't a huge fan of them giving him that much money, especially coming off an Achilles. And I don't know. He has one playoff win in his career. I don't think Kirk Cousins is like this. He's a solid quarterback, but he's kind of in that discussion with Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, those type of guys where I'm not quite comfortable paying those guys.
I'm still fine with it because you're the Falcons. You need a quarterback, and you said we're taking a shot on Kirk, and then you ended up liking Michael Penix. So I can't blame you for either. They took a risk. You can't just not take a risk. I think that's fine. Kirk Cousins has still had great games this year. People act like he didn't throw for like 500 yards against Tampa in a shootout. He's had good games. Definitely think the Achilles injury affected him more than I thought it would. But I think that maybe next year you look in and he's playing better. But maybe that's on Atlanta, and that's fine. They took a shot, took a risk on a guy. I still think he could play good football. So I don't think Kirk Cousins is at the end yet.
Yeah, I mean, I also think like for Atlanta, I think their coaching is like I think there's 2 4th down plays in this game, and Bijan I think he averaged like almost 5 yards a carry, probably north of 5 yards a carry, and they're running jet sweeps to Drake London, who's not a fast player, and you're having Ray McLeod. The 4th down play where Derwin James tackled Drake London. Ray McLeod is assigned to block Derwin James on that play. Like, do you really think Ray McLeod is going to?
I don't.
be able to
It's
hold
not
Derwin
good
James there?
coaching in Atlanta.
Yeah, and
it's
like
not
their
good
coaching hasn't really been good all year. You saw like they've been running Kirk Cousins and pistol, which I don't think that's something he's necessarily comfortable with. And I don't have the stats written down, but like Cousins in the pistol this year has been dreadful on those dropbacks, and that's just not his
they're
game.
not
His
playing
game is
him
under exactly. Yeah,
the
they're
right
not playing
way.
to his strengths, under center, play action, and I don't think they really. I don't know. Like I think there's times where they don't utilize Bijan Robinson enough. They go to Algier in big spots. I don't think like Zach Robinson. Was he the quarterback coach or the offense coordinator when he was with the? Was he the quarterback coach with the Rams and he got hired
I
as
felt like
OC?
he was quarterback coach.
Okay, it's just another for me. That's just another example of a coach getting hired because he's in Sean McVay's coaching tree. We saw the same thing as Zach Taylor, quarterback coach, elevated right to the head coaching role, and we've kind of seen what he's been with the Bengals. So I think that was another hire. Oh, he's on Sean McVay's coaching staff. He'll be good, but situationally, I think the Falcons are one of the worst teams in the league, just in situational type, in games.
It also doesn't help that Young Koku is really in a tough spot right now. That's not helping anything.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next game, another NFC game. Vikings, Cardinals. I think two teams, especially Cardinals, Vikings have been way more consistent this year. Cardinals and Kyler Murray, you never know what you're going to get. I think you never know what you're going to get from drive to drive. It's that inconsistent. In this game, I believe it was 9-6 at halftime or something, or 12-6 at halftime. It was a lot of field goals. The Cardinals were up 16-6 late in the third, early fourth, and they squandered the lead. What was your main takeaway from this game? Was it Cardinals kind of blew the game, or was it Vikings kind of showed that they can, win in, bad circumstances?
I mean, I think you could take away positives from both. I think the Vikings, they're overall not playing as well as they were, but it is good for them to come back when Sam Darnold was really good down the stretch. That's a good thing. Aaron Jones has to really stop fumbling. That's a problem. But with the
Fumbles
Cardinals,
in the last two or three games.
It's ridiculous. But with the Cardinals, you saw that they have this they can go ahead against some good teams, get ahead, get a lead, but they still have problems with just like the offense. It's solid, but it can be better. Kyler can be better. How talented he is, but him and Marvin just haven't connected, and that's really the big thing. Like him and Marvin, that's Marvin was thought to be the best receiver prospect since Calvin Johnson. He's not had a great year. Trey McBride's an awesome tight end, and he's on our dynasty team. We love it, but he's honestly probably getting too many catches because Kyler's just dumping it off, and it's like, hey, gotta take some shots. And so that's my takeaway, that the Cardinals are still a solid team who I like, but man, it could be so much better. If they can play how they should, I think they're easily the best team in the NFC West this year. I don't think any of the others are close to the potential of the Cardinals. Cardinals play at their highest potential, easily best team, and I think they're a team who could steal a playoff game from someone. Let's say they're playing. Let's say they somehow get the 7, and they're playing the Eagles, because who knows with the wild card.
So I don't mean to cut you off, but I only see one NFC West team making the playoffs.
But that's not my point. That's not my point. That's not my point. Let's just say some hypothetical. I'm not arguing that they will. The odds are the NFC West team's not a 7 seed, but I'm just saying if they were to find themselves as a 7 seed against the Eagles, I could see them going in and beating the Eagles. That's my point.
I just don't like the ceiling. Yeah, sure, the Cardinals may have the highest ceiling in that division, but they're simply just not consistent enough. Kyler Murray cannot string. He hasn't even stringed back-to-back good games together this season. It's either he plays really well. There's times he looks like a top 10, top 8 quarterback, and there's times where it's is this guy a rookie? If you never watched football before, Kyler Murray is not consistent enough. This team isn't consistent enough. And for me, I think sometimes they misutilize Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of times you're seeing Kyler throwing a back shoulder to him, or it's always a tight coverage throw in which he's throwing to Marvin Harrison. I would like to see Marvin Harrison, used in the middle part of the field, running crossing patterns.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're depending on this guy just to catch back shoulder fades, those are low percentage throws. You're not going to connect all the time on those, especially for a rookie receiver and Kyler. If that's what you're banking on, you're not going to build a strong connection. Now, I would like to see Cardinals. They do need probably a deep threat. I think Michael Wilson's a solid guy. I think he could be a deep threat, but they need there's just something missing to the offense. And maybe that's because Kyler struggles. Maybe that element is missing because he's not consistent enough. But for me, I think they're missing a weapon. And I don't know. It just seems like they're missing another guy they could depend on. Because Trey McBride's top 2 tight end in the league, top 3 tight end. But a lot of his production is coming from underneath. And I don't think that's McBride's fault. I don't think that's because he can't run routes or anything like that. I think that's just how the offense is playing right now, is that they kind of have to depend on McBride, in the shallow parts of the field. And we're not really seeing Kyler run as much either. Mm-hmm. I think if you want to open up this
offense, he did have 7 carries for 48 yards.
Okay, that's true. But they're not designed runs. It's a lot of script. I think they need to call more design runs for Kyler.
But I don't know if he's this huge designed run guy. I don't think that's what he is.
I think he can open up the run game if you just run a little bit more read option plays.
He ran a couple, but I don't think he's a big designed run guy. I don't think that's what he is. I think he's more of a scrambler. I know he's really fast, but I don't think he's a designed run guy, because he's not a guy who if the arm comes and hits his right side of his body, he's gonna just keep running. He's probably gonna slide. And I think design run guys are bigger quarterbacks who can break a tackle and then slide. I don't think he's a design running guy.
Vikings. We'll shift over to them real quick before we move to our next game. Do you see them having a chance to win this division? And of course, that sounds like an obvious question because they're only a game behind the Lions. But do you see them as a legitimate contender for the North? It's the best division in football.
Yeah,
it's by a landslide.
I mean, contender technically, yes, but I think the Lions are so good it doesn't matter. They're so good.
I mean, yeah, and you have Green Bay there. The only reason I ask that is because the Lions have a pretty tough schedule, and the Vikings have a pretty light schedule, if I'm not.
Atlanta, Chicago, Seattle, but then it's Green Bay and Lions. So I guess you are, because you do face the Lions.
And I think Lions they play Green Bay tonight. They have Bills next week. Now, both those games are at home. I think the Lions are very fortunate.
Chicago, who they barely just beat. San Fran, who knows what they'll be. They could be done. They could be fighting for the division at that point. Who knows? And then Minnesota. So, yeah, Lions have a tough schedule.
Yeah, I wouldn't count out the Packers either. I think tonight's game, I mean, if Packers lose, I'll probably count them out for the division at that point, losing 2 games to the Lions. I think that's too insurmountable of a climb to get past that. And the Vikings, it'll be interesting if that Week 18 game is for the division. I think that it could be for the division. But I'm with you. I think the Lions. I think they're clearly the best team in the division, like the all-around roster. They are dealing with some injuries, but I also trust the Lions. Next game, and this game's actually somewhat shocking to me. I was pretty confident in the Ravens this game, and we didn't record last week, so we didn't make our picks. But if we did make picks, I would have had Ravens in this game. Lamar ending this game is 23-1 against NFC teams at home. It really felt like a game Baltimore win, and early on, it felt like Baltimore was going to run away with this. I think they scored on their second drive of the game, or first drive, but it just seemed like their defense was going to actually show up this game. And their defense didn't play bad, but it's still not that great of a defense. But the Eagles, I mean, they're using Jalen Hurts like in 2022 the way they use him. He's not really dependent on as a passer. I think he threw 118 yards in this game. He wasn't asked to be a downfield thrower. They're using his legs more. Saquon Barkley continues to elevate the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Eagles I think they're at this point you have to have them in the Super Bowl conversation, and I think the NFC it's them and the Lions as a clear top 2 teams, and that's not just because they're the 1 and 2 seed, but just the way they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a chance the Eagles steal the 1 seed?
They have a chance, but I still don't. They're not on the same tier. I don't care. Watching that game, paying attention to that game. I mean, Saquon got a lot of his rushing yards late. And that's good. But really, Baltimore did a pretty good job against the run, and Hurts didn't do much. A.J. Brown had 66 yards. I think the Ravens were better. But they lost, which is weird to say.
Oh, yeah, Justin Tucker missed.
They were down 24-12 with a minute left. But I think the Ravens were better. I think Lamar took bad sacks. Lamar was good except for the sacks. He took all 3 of his sacks, I think, were like bad sacks.
They were like 20-yard sacks.
Yeah, the rest of it, like those were his like 3 bad plays, but they were just really bad. Because, 23 for 36, 237, 2 touchdowns. He was pretty good for the rest. Derrick Henry was productive, nothing insane, 19 for 82. Lamar ran for 79 yards. So it's just like, to me, it's just showing the Ravens just keep screwing up games they should win. And I still think the Eagles are overrated. I still do. I think everyone's like kind of jumping on the, you know what? We're taking them serious now. And I watch them like, yeah, they're good, but are they truly the second best team in the NFC?
Now, I do.
I don't know.
Jalen Hurts. I do agree with you from the offensive standpoint. When I watch this offense, it looks like a lot of ad-libbing. I do think Jalen Hurts holds onto the ball a lot and doesn't throw with anticipation. I just truly believe when I'm watching those games, whenever he's throwing a ball, the guy is always pretty much wide open. He doesn't really throw with anticipation, doesn't throw guys open, holds onto the ball. I don't think Jalen Hurts is like that great of a quarterback. I think the roster is loaded. Great offensive line, great running back. Your number 1's really good. Devontae Smith, it's kind of weird. Like Devontae Smith, he didn't play this game. There's been games he hasn't played this year, and it doesn't really look like the offense really needs him. I think he's a solid number 2.
He's not even been like. I'm gonna check his stats out because I feel like he's been so like. So 9 games, 516 yards, 4 touchdowns, and I feel like it's a lot of big plays.
Well, I think a bulk of his production was in that one game against the was it the Jaguars?
He started off the year really well.
But that's the thing. Like, I do not think Jalen Hurts is that great of a quarterback. I really don't. And so that's why I agree with you. I think, like, for me right now, when I said it was them and the Lions, I think right now the Eagles are playing well. Like, their defense is really playing well. That's probably the biggest reason why people are jumping on the bandwagon is because their defense is actually shutting down. Like, Quentin Mitchell is shutting down opposing wide receiver 1s on the other team, on the other side of the ball. But for me, there's just something missing in the passing game. And if teams can stop Saquon, can Jalen Hurts overcome that? I think that's the biggest question mark.
I mean, if you told me Packers and Eagles were playing for the second spot in the NFC title game, I'm taking Packers.
Getting
Like,
Packers. Yeah. I would take Packers too.
if
That's
you
why I
told
think
me Minnesota Eagles, I'm probably taking Minnesota.
That's to me, it really depends where that game is at for me. And like a playoff game and home field advantage is a big deal in playoff games. It really depends on where they're playing that game. But like I would take like right now, are the Eagles a 2 seed and Washington's a 7 seed?
Yeah, I do.
So
that's a good matchup.
I would take the Eagles in that one. Clear. I would be pretty.
I think Washington
is
a good matchup for them.
If they somehow played against the Packers, I would take the Packers I would be confident in that pick.
Yeah, that would be like, I wouldn't really think about it.
For Ravens, they really feel like almost a one and done team in the playoffs. It depends on who they play. Now, if they play Houston, they probably beat Houston. But if they have to play against Pittsburgh, who Lamar struggled against, I'm probably taking Pittsburgh. If they have to go against the Chiefs, we've seen Lamar against the Chiefs. He has one career win against them, and that was really a game the Chiefs choked away. I don't know if you remember that one, but the Chiefs, they choked that game. I think they were up by double digits for most of the game. They feel like a one and done. Defense, not good. Coaching, I really don't think their coaching's been that great this year. I really situation has not been great. Justin Tucker, you can't really depend on him anymore. And then Lamar in the playoffs, he kind of shrinks in the playoffs. So for me, I don't really have a lot of confidence in Ravens.
I do want to say one thing on them. So I think they have a very timely bye week. This is a great time for them to have a bye week. Their last 5 games, they beat the hell out of Denver. That's a good playoff team. They beat Cincinnati in a shootout. Cincinnati, I mean, it's a classic Cincinnati game. You barely lose to Pittsburgh. Probably should have won. You beat the Chargers pretty well. That's a good playoff team. And then you lose to Philly, and I think they kind of should have won. This bye week is big. If they can get stuff figured out, they could I think they could still figure stuff out. But Deontay Johnson stuff is what the hell? That's big.
I just think at this point, the defense is what it is. It's not going to.
The defense played well against Philly. If you're saying it is what it is, it played well against Philly, and it played well against the Chargers. They allowed 23 Chargers, but Chargers got a quick score, and then Chargers, they couldn't really do much more. So
Chargers don't have the firepower to really.
But we credit the Chargers a lot. They did pretty well. I don't think they shut them down or anything because Dobbins got hurt and there's some drops, but they still did well, and I still think they did well against Philly's offense. And Pittsburgh's offense has shown to play pretty well. Pittsburgh only had 18. Denver's offense is doing pretty well. They only had 10. So I do think there's still an avenue here. They're not looking crisp. That's understandable, but this bye week is huge. If you go against the Giants, whoop them. And then if you can go beat Pittsburgh, you're then 10-5 against Houston and Cleveland. With momentum, go beat Houston and then should beat Cleveland. Because they lost to Cleveland, probably should beat Cleveland too. They still have a chance. There's still a lot of firepower. They are screwing things up. If they can turn some stuff around, I still think they're dangerous.
Is the division out? Is the division kind of out? I know they still play Pittsburgh, but what's Pittsburgh's schedule? I know Pittsburgh had a tough back half of the schedule, but at this point, it kind of looks lighter than it did.
Cleveland, interesting game. Lost them earlier, but then you have Philly, Baltimore, KC, Cincinnati. We'll see. I think it's still in play. Oddly enough, it is because if you lose to Philly, let's say you beat Cleveland, lose to Philly. Play Baltimore to tie in the division. And then all of a sudden, you're tied for the division, and you're facing the Chiefs.
Yeah, I still think it's open. I don't know. For me, Baltimore is always about the playoffs. If they somehow win the division, sure, it probably gives them a better. But I don't know. Baltimore, for me, all year I've been kind of hesitant to view them as they're a good team, but the defense is. I know you were saying they've improved. I don't know. I just don't really see it.
I don't think people are paying attention. It has improved. They were playing really well against Philly. Philly had 14 points before Saquon's big run. And even Vegas sees that the division's still open because they're only plus 130.
No, yeah, I just don't really, and like they're one of the most penalized teams in the league as well this year. Like they're not a.
That's why this bye week is huge. It's a major bye week.
Now,
This
they have a great get right spot after the bye. You got
yeah.
the Giants, so, but we'll see. I right now I'll probably give the edge to Pittsburgh winning the division,
No,
but
yeah, I would too, but
like I don't like if they lose to Pittsburgh again, they're probably done for the division race. Let's move on to the last game. In this game, probably one of the most fun games I've ever watched. That third quarter lasted about felt like an hour and a half.
yeah,
They were just going back and forth. I mean, the game. There were some like Bo Nix made a lot of good throws this game. Some like before the 93-yard touchdown to Marvin Mims. I don't know if you remember, but he's rolling to his right, and he forces like a throw across the field to Cortland Sutton, who's covered. I'm not, but it's just like this game was all over the place. Jameis Winston, classic Jameis Winston game, threw 6 total touchdowns, 2 to the other team. I think he had 3 total interceptions in this game, threw 1 at the end of the game. Jerry Jeudy had 235 receiving yards against his former team. I mean, the Broncos, I think, with this win, theoretically clinched a playoff spot. I know, like, not official, but like, just kind of look at other teams in the wildcard race. It kind of feels like they clinched a playoff spot in this one.
No, Cleveland could beat anyone. I mean, if you don't think Jameis is entertaining, then you're just like,
well,
you're a
who
curmudgeon.
doesn't think? Who doesn't?
I'm just saying, if you don't, then you're a curmudgeon who is like, oh, I want them to run the ball 50 times a game. It's like Jameis is so fun. Oh my! Elijah Moore also had 111. That dude.
No, James almost threw for 500 yards in this game. It
Elijah
was
Moore
the
through the first
classic
4
James Winston game.
weeks had 42 yards.
There is no like if I'm Cleveland,
I have
there's
no idea what
way.
Cleveland's going to do next year because
honestly, we've seen this twice now. Last year, Deshaun got hurt. Joe Flacco comes in, the offense lights it up. He gets hurt again this year. James Winston comes in, the offense lights it up.
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious,
but I just don't know what to do.
It's so obvious what the problem is. But the thing is,
I assume they already know what they're going to do. I assume they have it decided, and they're just not telling.
What do you mean, like
if they're going to keep him, if they're cutting him, they know what they're doing. I think they know.
Do you think there's a team do you think the Browns, or do you think if there's a team out there that would take Browns' first-round pick to take on that contract, or do you think it's just like
you'd have to be like, okay, I get Travis Hunter, but if it's like I get the LSU tackle, it's like, oh, or if I get who's even like the fourth after Shador, Cam Ward, and even trying to think, it's like, oh, I get
there's Arizona receiver,
or why am I blanking on like the Penn State corner? It's like I need Travis Hunter, and I would have to be like. I think it'd have to be a team who's like in a full rebuild and like they're just like you have a new head coach this year and you're like, okay, you get Deshaun, but you're not I don't even know.
Like if I'm the Browns, I'm just going to I would re-sign Jameis to like a manageable like 2-year contract. He's not my future at all. And this game kind of showed he's not a franchise quarterback. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league for 17 weeks.
I got the team.
But maybe you sign Jameis and then you draft if you could draft a quarterback, draft Cam Ward Shador, and Deshaun's your third string, or you cut him.
I got the team to trade for Deshaun, the Rams. This is if you get Travis Hunter. Can you imagine Travis Hunter with Puka Nacua? You maybe even you get rid of Stafford.
What pick are the Browns right now? Are they like the 6th pick right now? 7th pick? I don't think that.
They're like 5, but that's because they've played one less game than New England. I mean, we'll just see. I think you only trade Deshaun if you get like Travis Hunter. So if they lose out and say Carolina,
I don't think they're getting number 1 pick.
No, they're not going to get number 1.
I think the Giants are going to get number 1 pick.
Okay, I'm not saying number 1 pick. But let's say you lose out, and then the Jets win a game. They're capable. Tennessee wins a game. Jacksonville wins a game. New England wins a game. Panthers win a game. And you're like the 3rd pick, and the first 2 picks are like Giants are going to take Shador, and then the Raiders are going to take Cam Ward or something like that, reverse. And you know you're getting Travis Hunter. Deshaun and a first to the Rams for I don't even know. You may have to give more. And then you let Sean McVay have a shot at Deshaun. And he gets Travis Hunter. And you're like rebuilding from scratch. And why not? That's the only team.
Who has a better market right now, Deshaun or Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers. Sign him for 1 year and take a shot.
I don't know. I don't know if there's really any fits for Aaron Rodgers. Like I think those two quarterbacks.
I think Aaron Rodgers has a much better market because it's 1 year. You're not tied. He probably is not asking for a ton of money.
Yeah, but what contender is signing him?
I don't know, but it's no one's trading for Deshaun with that contract.
I realize, but like Aaron Rodgers,
and he has the worst. Aaron Rodgers is
nuts. No. But I feel
Deshaun
like
is like considered.
Is Rodgers really going? Because in my opinion, no contender is going to go after him, and is he really going to sign with a bad team?
He could sign with a fine team. Who knows? Maybe Sean McVay would sign. I think the Rams would probably more likely want Rodgers for a year than Deshaun. And Deshaun's a head case, and you get to deal with all that. I would, and Rodgers obviously is too. Rodgers has a better market.
I mean, I don't think Watson. I don't think any team trades for it. And he's also coming off an Achilles.
But that's my point. That's why Rodgers has a better market. That's what I just said.
No, I realize that, but I also think it would be stupid for the Rams to move off Stafford for Rodgers. I mean, I'm getting.
Well, yeah, that would be like, what are you doing? I don't know.
Make any sense.
There would be a team. You know, if Bill Belichick goes somewhere, I could see him saying, "I want Rodgers."
Oh, I think I said Watson. Broncos. Very interesting team to me. I was actually looking at their schedule, like their results, win-loss results. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but I noticed that I believe they don't have any wins over playoff teams. Now, I know the Chargers fall in the same boat, no wins over playoff teams, but that was just kind of an interesting thing I saw yesterday while I was looking through their schedule. I was kind of looking at their future schedule, but I kind of
is Atlanta a playoff team?
Okay, that's one. But they're borderline. Is there?
And they had a blocked field goal against the Chiefs.
Yeah, but Chiefs don't really beat anybody.
They are 8-3, and they are 8-3.
No, they're playing very like Bo Nix.
But what's the
playing
point
very well?
To say like, oh, they haven't beat a playoff team. They compete with the Chargers. They started off the year bad, but that's rookie Bo Nix.
When do they play Chargers again? By the way,
they have the bye, and then after the Colts, they play Chargers.
That's because Chargers won the first game. That's a very interesting game, and I believe that game's in LA. That game, because those two teams are very close right now.
And it's a Thursday. That's a fun one.
Yeah, they flexed that. That was supposed to be like a Sunday, like 3:25 or something like that. And they flexed it to Thursday. So
they have a fun end of the year schedule. But I think saying they haven't beat a playoff team, they beat Atlanta, and if Tampa takes it, they beat Tampa. They whoop Tampa with their receivers. They should have beat the Chiefs. They had a blocked field goal to end the game.
No, Broncos probably one of the more surprising teams. I didn't think they were going to be like super because their over under their win total was like 5.5. I didn't think they were going to be that bad.
I was telling you.
I had them at 7-10 this year. So,
but I was telling you after those first 2 weeks, I was like, "There's something here. Bo Nix can figure it out," and he figured it out. Man, I should put money on like Broncos playoffs. I was calling it. I called them to beat Tampa.
I should have put money on Niners missing the playoffs. I should have done that. That probably would have made some good money.
Don't try to turn this around. This is where I'm right.
No, you were right in Denver. I was definitely. It took me longer to jump on that bandwagon. I didn't know if they were for real. Bo Nix, I still think. I think he'll be a solid quarterback, but I still don't know how high. Like, is this going to be his ceiling? Like, is he
I don't get what can't he do?
Strong arm. Well, like he's actually a lot more. Yeah, he's fast. For me, here's the thing. Like last year, and I'm not comparing this player, but like C.J. Stroud lit the league on fire, and he's kind of once teams get that tape on you, sophomore slump. I will next year. I'm going to watch Bo Nix very closely next year because I think teams then get film on you. Sophomore slump happens a lot to quarterbacks. I'm very interested to see, and they'll put more talent around him too. I mean, their receiving core is not that good right now. I expect them to add.
Yeah, he's working with Sutton,
another weapon, Marvin Mims,
and that's all.
Troy Franklin, Vele.
Vele's fine, but it's Sutton has more than double the next player's yards.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Denver,
Jordan Humphrey.
And the one thing, and I forgot to mention this, the one thing that worries me about the Broncos, like in the playoffs, they have no run game. Now I know their run game was good this game, but Cleveland is one of the worst run defenses in the league, so I'm not going to take a lot from this game. Their run game has been terrible. And so
I
if
mean,
you're going to
okay,
depend on
here's one thing. So Javante's averaging 3.6 yards a carry. McLaughlin's averaging 4.6, and Estime's averaging 4.7. So
okay, but look at
maybe
Javante's last 3 games.
no, yeah,
And
yeah. But I said Javante.
yeah,
Yeah,
look at his last 3 games. They're not good.
yeah. Don't give the ball to Javante. That's my whole point of what I
I
just
think they go
said.
with a hot hand strategy. I think that's what they do because like McLaughlin clearly had the hot hand in this one.
McLaughlin's had 2 good back-to-back. Yeah, I'd make it McLaughlin Estime. I mean, they're a team where it's like, oh, Ashton Genty would be fine on
they're not
the.
going to draft Ashton
Bro,
Genty.
hey, you don't know. Sean Payton's drafted first-round running backs before.
I'm actually it's very curious. I'm very curious where Denver goes in the draft because I think they can go so many spots in the first round. You can go receiver, you can go offensive line, you can go if you want to get a premier pass rusher, you can do that too.
They're not drafting pass rusher. They're good.
I don't think they will either, but I think there's a lot of positions that they could go in that first round. I think they're gonna go. They're gonna get a weapon, I believe, or offensive line because offensive line's been solid,
You
but
can
it's
go.
still
You can go get tight end. It's a good tight end draft. I don't think people are talking about it enough. It's a good tight end draft.
in the first round. Like, is there? I know there's a lot
Colston
of good tight ends.
Loveland, Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. I think if they get a bowl game, he's probably going to break the record for most receiving yards by a tight end in a year. It's a fun. I think weapon or O line. They're definitely going offense. Their pass rush is set. Benito and Jonathan Cooper have 19 combined sacks. You have a good secondary. Yeah, they're going to go offense.
Who was originally their number 2 corner? Because they got shredded.
Riley Moss, I think he's hurt. Or
Okay,
what's his name? Let me make sure.
It may be Riley Moss, to be honest. I mean, one of their corners gave up 137 yards.
And Riley Moss is hurt right now, but he's been really good this year. 8 passes deflected. But yeah, he didn't play in that game. But then they put in that 5th-round rookie, and he sealed the deal.
Yeah, anybody's gonna have a chance to seal a deal when you're playing Jameis. He'll throw you one, or 3. But Broncos I think are a very interesting team in the playoffs. I think for running game in the playoffs, if you're depending on your quarterback, your rookie quarterback, to basically run the entire offense without a run game, I think that's a recipe to lose pretty handily.
Also, with their pass rush, their what round was he drafted? 3rd round pick, a sack in each of the last 3 games. Man, they just like built a pass rush out of nowhere, and that's kind of wild.
Yeah, they have a strong rotation. They don't have like a marquee pass rusher, but they have a lot of guys.
Okay,
I'm not knocking them. I'm saying a lot of guys that can contribute.
But I think you're wrong. They do have Nick Benito has 11 sacks, and he had 8 sacks last year in 15 games. He is a marquee pass rusher. He's just not talked about. He's had a sack in every game since the Jets game except against Baltimore. A whole sack. I think he is a marquee pass rusher. People just
is this his second year in the league?
3rd year.
Or 3rd year? Okay.
So I don't think that's right at all. I think they have a marquee pass. And Jonathan Cooper had 8.5 sacks last year. He has 8 this year. He's probably getting to double digits. They have legit pass rushers.
Like for me, and we've been talking about Denver for a while. But like if they get the 6th seed and they go up against Pittsburgh, I think they could win that game.
No, they could beat anyone but Buffalo. Buffalo's the only team they can't beat.
See, the thing is, like I know the
or
Chiefs
Baltimore. Baltimore's a bad matchup. They can beat
the thing with the Chiefs, though. Chiefs.
I'm taking the Chiefs, but I'm saying they could beat the Chiefs.
Okay, I'm not saying they would. Miami last year and they got whooped.
Yeah, okay, but that game was honestly kind of close for a little bit.
But it never felt close.
Yeah, but it never felt close. But like the score, it was like the Chiefs.
It was 10-0, and then Tyree got that lucky touchdown, and then
he got lucky. If obviously Miami's,
it wasn't that close.
I'm not saying close, like Miami was gonna win, but I still think like if you gave them 30 degrees, and obviously that's a big what if, and that shouldn't be. But I know, Logan, but they're still capable of it, in my opinion. And just because they lost and I picked the Chiefs win doesn't mean I'm wrong.
No, yeah, but That's another.
But you said Miami could, then they lost. I picked Miami to lose.
But I know, but like I that game, like I was never nervous in that. Like even
I wasn't
usually I'm pretty
nervous
nervous in playoff games,
either.
but like
I just said Miami could win. You're over exaggerating the could win because I think a lot of teams could be other teams. But just like if Denver should have beat Chiefs earlier, they could beat the Chiefs.
yeah, they could definitely beat the Chiefs. I don't think they would match up against Buffalo, especially at Buffalo.
No, they get slaughtered.
But like I could see them beating Pittsburgh, Houston theoretically if they went against Houston.
LA.
I think Houston's a one and done team. Like they have not looked good at all this year. So I think they like I can see Denver upsetting a team, but I don't really see them making a run at all. Like I see that they could win a game and then they kind of lose that next game.
They don't have enough overall offensive firepower. It would have to be a slugfest. But yeah, especially Houston, with Houston's bad offensive line, then Stroud not playing well.
Oh, for sure. And I think right now Houston.
Nico Collins is being shadowed by Surtain. Like that.
I think Houston would lose to all three wildcard teams. All three current wildcard teams.
Yeah.
Chargers, I think would be the closest matchup just because I don't think I think Chargers. We'll see what J.K. Dobbins' health is at the end of the season towards the playoffs, and they don't really have any receivers outside of Ladd McConkey, and Ladd McConkey's banged up, so that's probably the one with the most hesitant one. But I still get the edge of Chargers.
Have you looked at the Chargers sack totals? They're really weird. They're
not.
They're Tuli Tupuoluta leads them with 7.
Yeah, Khalil Mack has 4.5. He's missed some games though. He hasn't played. I don't think was Khalil Mack back last game. I think he was back last game.
Bosa has 3 sacks in 9 games. Yeah, they need a pass rush.
Yeah. Anything else before we move on to our week 14?
No, let's roll.
Okay. All right. So let's look into week 14. We didn't make our picks last week. I don't have my season-long standings right now. Picks. I know we're both doing pretty well, like on money line.
I had a horrible week 12. I was 4-9 on the spread.
What was mine in week 12? My week 12 was. Oh, I don't have it written down. Oh wait, hold on. Week 12, I wasn't great either. Especially against the spread. I was pretty bad against the spread.
I was 4-9 against the spread.
I don't have it written down, but I'm looking at it right now. Just there's a lot of. I write down right or wrong. There's a lot of wrong written down on that Google Doc. So yeah, week 12 was also not a good one. So hopefully we bounce back. I did win money this past week though, I'm betting. So
yeah, I did not. I won the week before. Can't.
Well, that's the thing. We never went at the same time.
Yeah, it's brutal. So it's my week.
We never win the same time. So if you're making a bet this week, just let me know so I won't make one. Especially if you're super confident, I just won't make one at all. First game that we'll talk about, the game tonight, Packers at Lions, pivotal divisional matchup. I think this could be the game of the week. I really do. Thursday night, usually we see close games, and both these teams played last Thursday, so it's not like we're seeing two teams on a short week. This should be a crisper game, should be a better game, because most Thursdays it's both teams short week. Mm-hmm. You don't really see them play that well. The Lions are favored by 3.5 this one, dealing with some injuries. Packers are as well. Jair Alexander's out. Romeo Doubs is out. How do you see this one playing out?
I mean, so I'm looking at my phone. It says it's going to be 28 degrees. So it's going to be a big rush. These teams are 4th and 5th in rushing. It is in Detroit. And why is he even giving me the degrees? I'm a moron. For some reason, I thought it was in Green Bay. I'm mixed up. Nevertheless, doesn't matter. I'm taking the Lions. I think they're the best team in football.
Based on the fact that you brought the weather, I almost want to go the opposite pick as you.
I know. It made me like, I want to change my pick because I'm an idiot.
Oh, you brought up weather. I'm like, okay, and they're in a dome.
It makes me want to change my pick. I feel stupid, but it's still Lions. If it's cold, it's Lions. If it's warm, it's Lions. If it's inside, it's Lions. Always Lions. I'm not picking against the Lions.
Romeo Doubs is actually a bigger loss than I think people think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he's like a great receiver. Like, but he's a possession guy. He's huge on third down for Jordan Love. I think this game's. I mean, the over/under is 51.5. I think he's gonna be playing a point score in this game. But Jared Goff at home in a dome, I'm going to trust him. Jordan Love. The reason I'm so hesitant on thinking like he's like a top 5 guy or whatever, and I don't know where you have him. That's a discussion for another day. But he throws too many picks, and like his decision making at times is just awful. And so I'll take the Lions
thrown a
this
pick
one.
in 2 games, so it seems like he is getting better at it. He's improving.
Well,
one pick in the last 5. 1 pick in the last 5 games. 2 picks. Wait, what am I looking? No, I was looking at. Never mind. What was I looking at? I messed that up too. Jeez Louise, Luke.
I may actually flip my pick because you're butchering this, but I'm gonna stick with the Lions. I think Gibbs only had 8 touches, and I think people are kind of overblowing the locker room thing with the plays. I think we're gonna see a lot of Gibbs in this game because he didn't have that many touches on Thanksgiving. Montgomery will play well. Jair's out, so I think Amon-Ra is going to do well. Jameson's going to do well.
Mm-hmm.
I do have the Packers covering the spread, though. So I'll take Lions money line, Packers to cover. These games are always pretty close. And I do think Packers are more suited to play like on turf.
I agree.
I think they actually play way better on the road than at home.
That's why Lambeau is not this huge home field for them.
No, they're actually bad at Lambeau.
Yeah, even with Rodgers, they weren't great.
Yeah.
Even when he was winning MVPs.
Next game, unfortunately, is not even close to this caliber of the game that we talked about. Jaguars at Titans. Battle for a top overall pick. Titans are minus 3.5. No Trevor Lawrence, by the way. Trevor Lawrence got placed on the
Mac Jones, which he almost won, which would have been something. But I saw Titans winning. I think like just looking at it, be like, you know what? If you bet it, I think you should bet Titans money line, Jags cover. Try to get a bigger bang for your buck. So I'm going Titans money line, but give me Jags spread.
I just have Titans minus 3.5 in this one. For me, I told you this prior to last week. I was so confused why the Jaguars played Trevor Lawrence last week. Like he's getting surgery on his shoulder, telling you that his shoulder.
These people are competitors, Logan. They're competitors.
Okay, but it was an unfortunate hit he took as well. But for me, it was you're 2-9 at that point when you're playing Houston. It was kind of confusing to me why they played Trevor Lawrence. But nonetheless, I'm going to take Titans in this one, minus 3.5. Their defense has taken a step back. You know, Jerry Sneed's been on the IR, but I do think this is a bounce back spot for Titans. Will Levis has actually been playing pretty much better than he was early in the year. He's not turning the ball over as much. He only took 2 sacks last week. And like that game against the Commanders last week, it really just it felt like that Chiefs-Houston playoff game a few years ago where at the beginning of the game, the Chiefs were just shooting themselves in the foot constantly, except Chiefs had Mahomes and
Titans was ridiculous.
It was 20-0. It was 21-0 after the first quarter.
The fumbling kickoffs, Pollard fumbled the ball. It's just a disaster. Yeah.
But I'll take Titans in the one. I don't trust mid and cheese in this one against Titans. I'll take the Titans.
Oh, well, look at Logan being a hater again.
How am I hating? It's Mac Jones.
You're always a hater. Why do you have to hate on Mac Jones? Why does he deserve the hate? He's just trying to revitalize his career.
He's not going to. Jets at Dolphins.
Yeah, I bet you
Dolphins
against him.
No, I'm just saying. That's why I'm saying Titans.
No, if he won, you'd be upset. We all know it.
It's not true at all.
You'd be upset.
I could care less about this game. I don't have money on it. If I have money on it,
but you'd be upset. If Mac Jones threw 400 yards, it'd sadden you.
No, the only thing I'd be upset me is I would have to hear you say, "Oh, look at Mac Jones." But
I'd be happy for him.
Yeah, good for him. But he's not gonna do anything. Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins minus 6. Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner, both of them could be out this week. So I don't know if that affects your pick at all.
It does. It does a little, even though, I mean, the Jets look pretty solid. But you know what? This isn't Miami. They have a longer week. They're playing well before going to frozen tundra, and they just suck in the cold. And what's good for them is they have 1, 2, 3 games in a row in either a dome or warm weather city. So I'm going to take it with the Jets. I'm not going to take Jets. I'm going to take, jeez, Luke, I'm stumbling. Dolphins minus 6.
I'm taking Dolphins minus 6 as well. The Jets are they have won 1 game since they fired. They actually have, I heard that they have less wins than the New York Mets since they fired Robert Saleh. The Mets have 2 wins. The Jets have 1.
Wild. That's wild.
Their defense is not good. They don't even tackle that well. If Sauce Gardner's out, I think you're going to see Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle kind of break out a little bit in this game. And I just don't trust. Aaron Rodgers is – I don't know if he's even a top 25 quarterback anymore.
Tua has thrown for a lot of yards again. Last 3 games, 288, 317. I know
I'm not going to take a lot. Green Bay's a lot of garbage time.
No, yeah, but he's throwing for yards. You're playing a bad defense, and the whole team's falling apart.
No, this game could be a blowout, but Dolphins are still not a great team. But I could definitely see a blowout in this spot. Next game, Falcons at the Vikings. Vikings -5.5.
No, I think a lot of people think Vikings are going to cover and kill them. I still believe in Kirk Cousins. And you know what? This is his former team. This is a moment. This is a Kirk Cousins moment. Because I feel when everyone doubts him in the regular season, he could come up with a big win. And I'm taking the Falcons to win. Their pass rush got there against a good Chargers. Chargers offensive line is great, but they have 2 good tackles. But they were getting some outside rush. It wasn't just inside rush. So do you know what? I'm getting upset here. Give me the Falcons. This is going to be a Kirk Cousins game.
I would actually love because the Falcons winning because I have a lot of division parlays with. What's sad is I think every division parlay I have has the Falcons. I pulled a Luke of 2022.
That's what I did last year.
Now,
no, that was last year.
In my defense, I wasn't betting on Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith. That's what Luke did.
Arthur Smith may get a head coaching job.
That's great. Good for him. He'll be in North Carolina? Okay. I was actually very close to putting the Falcons money line on this one. I had the Vikings winning, but I had the Falcons covering the 5.5. I think 5.5.
Okay.
That's a lot of points for the Vikings to get. And I mean, the Vikings, the last few games, they really haven't played that well. And both these quarterbacks are pretty similar. They're going to give you a chance to intercept the ball. The Vikings defense is actually it's fallen off a bit. It's still they still make a lot of plays, still force a lot of turnovers, but it's definitely not the same.
It was definitely scheme was doing a lot, and then it's not the most talented. But there's still talent, but it's not the most talented.
I think teams have adjusted to the scheme and all that. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Vikings to win this one. I want to be honest. I know I've given the Falcons a lot of crap and Kirk Cousins a lot of crap. I would not be surprised if they win this game, just because it's part of me looking at this game. Do I really see Vikings going 11-2? It's just, but I think they're going to win because I don't trust Kirk Cousins. So I'll take the Vikings, but Falcons cover. Next game, let's not spend a lot of time on this, please. Saints at Giants. Saints -4.5.
Saints are playing too good of football to not pick them. I think if you don't pick them, you really have to have a gut feel. And if you have a gut feel in this game, good for you. And I'm not going to hate having a gut feel. But if you try to break it down why the Giants should win, then you've lost me. Only gut feels. But so I got Saints winning, but I do have Giants covering because on these bad team games, just pick the favorite to win and the worst team to cover.
Yep, I'm gonna take Saints. They're facing Drew Lock, the aforementioned dark horse MVP from a few years ago. We don't have to name the person who said that. It wasn't any of us two, but dark horse MVP Drew Lock about 3-4 years ago. Saints are winning this one. And I'll take them to cover. I think the only discussion is the spread, but they'll cover. Giants can't generate any type of offense. Panthers at the Eagles. Eagles are -12.5.
I feel like a lot of people are probably going to take Panthers to cover. It scares me, but I'm still going to do it.
Don't take it to cover.
I'm still going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm going to do it. I know it's scary. It feels like a trap. I noticed the trap. I acknowledge the trap. But I'm still going to do it because you know what? I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to throw for 300 yards. I think that Bryce Young can get 20-something points on the board, probably should cover. I'm going to take Bryce Young to do that. He's looking pretty well. Hey, it may be a year from now. We may be like, man, the Panthers made the right choice taking Bryce Young to CJ Stroud. There's a chance. This is the Bryce Young I thought we were going to see. I remember watching that. Covering the Sugar Bowl, K-State. Watching that game in person, I was like, I love Bryce Young. I also, Brian Branch was like my lock. And Jahmyr Gibbs. I love them all. Just watching in person. But I'm liking Bryce Young. It feels like a trap, but I'm going against the Kurt trap.
I'm taking Eagles to cover.
The Eagles money line, by the way. Not a question.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Eagles to cover. I think Bryce Young's actually played really well, but the Buccaneers are not the Eagles' defense. Eagles' defense is much better at home. You can't really run. Eagles also have a pretty solid run defense. Panthers have a terrible run defense. So that actually, you said that Jalen Hurts is not going to throw for a lot. I don't think he has to. It's going to be him and Saquon running read options. I think the Eagles are going to run all over the Panthers, and I don't think this isn't like to say Bryce Young's going to I don't think if he struggles in this game, it's like, oh, he won't be anything. I still think he definitely earned himself another year of being a starting quarterback. But I do think he comes back down to earth a little bit in this one. I think the Eagles handle this one pretty easily. Browns at the Steelers. Steelers minus 6.5.
I honestly don't think you need to break this down that much. I think it's truly Browns beat him last time. You have to take the Steelers, but 6.5 points is a lot. Even though I could see Jameis screwing it up at the end. But I just feel like logically you got to take Browns plus 6.5. Steelers to cover. Steelers looking good. Browns could beat anyone. Could be a fun one.
Yeah, because of Jameis Winston, you can see a backdoor cover both ways. I'm going to take Browns, though, to cover the 6.5. I think they keep this game close. Division rival. I'll take Steelers to win. Raiders at the Buccaneers. Buccaneers minus 6.5 in the spot, and they probably shouldn't have won against Carolina. I think that Adam Thielen no touchdown.
No, they got one of the most Carolina got screwed. That's my point, dude. Carolina, if they won that game, you could be saying if they beat the Eagles they could have a shot at the division, and that's not even a joke. If they would have beat Tampa, they would have had a shot at the division if they could pull off an Eagles upset, which is wild. That would have been amazing.
I don't think they would have a shot because of the schedule, but they would be.
No, but if they beat the Eagles, I don't know what the rest of the schedule.
If they beat the Eagles,
if they beat the Eagles, they'd be 5-8 with Dallas, probably better than at this point. Arizona, you can beat, and then Tampa and Atlanta. You can do it. Okay, side tangent. I have Tampa winning, but I do have Raiders covering. I think McCormick. I should have picked them up in our league. I picked them up.
I did.
I don't know why I didn't. I liked him so much, and in Dynasty, I was like, I want McCormick over Abdullah, and I saw that Pierce said that McCormick may get more carries this week than he did last week. And Brock Bowers is maybe going to be the greatest tight end of all time. Jacoby Myers is still good, so you still have a couple weapons. Trey Tucker has moments. Aidan O'Connell is I feel like he's going to be in the league for 12 years, just as this solid backup everywhere once this Raiders stint is over with, because he's clearly not a starter, but he's not the worst. He's not the worst. So give me Raiders to cover, but Tampa money line.
I have the same exact pick. Bucks money line, Raiders to cover. Buccaneers are not that great of a football team.
No,
they bad defense. I really only trust Mike Evans on the outside. Bucky Irving's a great running back.
He's amazing.
I think they should use him more often. I think Rashad, and you kind of saw it last week. Rashad White kind of took a back seat to Bucky Irving, but I don't really trust Buccaneers fully. I would love if Raiders win this game for my bet that I mentioned earlier. I would love if Atlanta wins and Buccaneers.
Bucky's averaging 5.5 a carry.
Pretty good. Next game, and this game I think is such a huge game. Seahawks at the Cardinals. Cardinals minus 2.5. I believe Arizona was favored in the last, or no.
Yeah, they were one, and then it flip-flopped. During the week. Well, with all I've said, if you listen, I'm taking Arizona. Seahawks are not good. I don't care what happens. It could go 12-5, and I would still say they're not good. And it's weird because they actually are talented, but they're not good. They should have lost to the Jets. 100%. I don't even think it's a question they should have lost to the Jets.
I told you midway through that game they were going to win.
I can't believe it. Leonard Williams took a touchdown to the house. I mean, I think that was really the epitome of the Jets season, was that game. Give me Arizona. Bounce back. I think Kyler's going to have a good game. Maybe a Marvin game. And Seattle won the other time in this division. I think they may just every team may just split with each other. So, Arizona.
That's exactly why I'm picking Arizona. It's solely based on the fact that I don't see teams in this division sweeping each other, unless the 49ers, if they could get swept by Arizona, because at that point in the year they may just be done. Week 18 they may be done.
Yeah.
If Seattle wins this game, you have to give them a really good shot at winning this division.
No, yeah, that'd be ridiculous. And I think they'd be the worst division winner. They're not better than Atlanta or Tampa. I don't care.
That's an
Seahawks
interesting
suck.
conversation.
They suck.
Their defense has been playing. You will never give this team credit, but their defense.
I'm not giving it credit. I'm refusing. I watched them with my eyes.
Okay, but you said Arizona's a very good team. And they held them 6 points.
I don't think they're. Yeah, but they're a mess. We know they're a mess. Arizona's good, but they're a mess.
I truly believe Seattle's a quarterback away from being really good.
But here's the thing: that they have 2 good running backs, 1 really good running back. Each is below 4 yards carry.
No, Kenneth Walker is not. I don't even know if you can say Kenneth Walker's a really good running back. He's a good, talented running back. I don't know if he's really because I think there's times where he can absolutely take over a game, but we haven't really seen that this year.
I think
we saw it early in the year, but like
the line's not good.
He's always hurt too.
That's not great, but they're a mess. I'm taking Arizona.
I'm taking Arizona as well. But I could see once again Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
It's possible
throwing this game away.
Possible.
Like whoever wins this game, I'm not gonna be like. The only reason I'm more confident in Seattle moving forward, if they win this game, is just based on the fact that they'll be 8-5 and the rest of the division will be.
No, I agree. If they win the game, and I'm gonna be like, they're gonna win the division, but they still suck.
Bills at the Rams. I can't believe this is the line. Bills minus 3.5.
It feels like a trap, but I feel like you look at this and you look at it and say, you know what, this is a trap. And you say, it's not even like the Panthers where I know it's a trap and I'm hesitant, but I'm still taking Panthers. You just take the Bills minus 4. I think they're the second best team in football, at least playing the second best right now, behind the Lions. I don't have much more to break it down.
I'm gonna take the Bills as well. Like I remember they played the Colts a few weeks ago, and I actually, for whatever reason, didn't bet the game because it felt like a trap. It's the same exact circumstances in this one, and the Bills I think win this one. I think Rams not really good defense. You could run on them. James Cook can run all over him, and I'm going to trust Josh Allen over Stafford in this one. So I'll take the Bills. Well, it says minus 3.5. I know before I wrote it down minus 4, but it's actually moved to minus 3.5 since we started recording. So I'll take the Bills.
Really? Oh, my gosh.
Bears at the 49ers. The 49ers are minus 4. I'm very interested to see your pick in this one.
New coach theory for Bears. Caleb's looking better, but he still has Caleb moments. I think this is Kyle Shanahan stirring the kitchen sink at this game. Because you lose this, you're done. You're done. I'm going to take, minus 4. I don't love it. This is like the first time in a while I haven't liked the Niners, but
I think the players in the locker room, I feel like they've already ran out of gas. I think they've already waved the white flag on the season.
There's a chance that's possible.
I'm going to take the new coach theory. I'm going to take the Bears to win this one. Now, the one concerning thing I'll say, Keenan Allen and DJ Moore were both out of practice yesterday. I think DJ Moore was more just a maintenance day. He had 16 targets. Keenan, though, I'm a bit worried about because he did actually legitimately hurt his ankle against the Lions. He got rolled up on, and that's the reason he wasn't practicing yesterday. So today's practice report will be pretty monumental in those two status for the game. But I'm taking the Bears. I think 49ers defense is not that good anymore with the injuries. We don't know if Trent Williams is going to be playing. And if he's not playing, the offensive line's not that great. Aaron Banks was out last game. You now are down to your third string running back. No McCaffrey, no Jordan Mason. And I can definitely this could be a game. The Bears have lost 7 straight. I don't think they're going to lose the rest of their games. And when you look at the rest of their games, they still have the Lions, the Packers again, I believe, the Vikings again. I don't see them losing out. So I'm going to take the Bears in this game. And I think they end their 7-game losing streak. So that's probably like my one. That's probably I've basically been picking favorites for the most part. So that's gonna be my upset pick of the week. Sunday Night Football. Chargers Chiefs. Chiefs minus 4. This is actually a very compelling game to pick. Just because
I'm taking Chargers.
Wow. Now you do realize McConkey may not play. Do you realize that, right?
I'm going to take the shot that he does. Obviously, if he doesn't, Chiefs are going to win. If they lose against a McConkey-less Chargers, then that's a real problem. But you should have lost to Carolina. Or not should have lost, and you should have lost to the Raiders.
Carolina Chiefs are always in control of that game.
I know, but I said that wrong.
They never trailed.
You probably should have lost to the Raiders. Should have lost to Raiders. Not to Carolina. I was wrong at saying
Raiders. I don't know about that either because their kicker had
missed 3 field goals.
So it's not guaranteed you would make that if they were. If
I
they
know,
didn't.
but I think they would have got more yards if they don't fumble the snap.
I think those two games you said the Chiefs were lucky to win, but should have lost. I
I
think it's
think
a
they should have
small.
lost the Raiders. You let Aiden O'Connell throw for 340 in the cold. The passing defense for the Chiefs has kind of died. I mean, I think losing
Well,
Jalen
Najee Johnson
Watson.
got benched last game. Like they straight out benched
Yeah.
him.
And then what's his name? I think allowed a big play too. Why am I
Too.
blanking? The other corner, who we got benched for?
Uh,
Why can't
wait,
I?
who are you talking about? Who we got
Who
benched
Nazi?
for?
Yeah,
Oh, who Najee Johnson got benched for? I thought that was Justin Reed who gave up that touchdown to
but I
Trey
think it was
Tucker. I thought
another
there
it
was
was
like a mis.
another big play that Joshua Williams allowed a big play.
Oh, okay.
So
So you're taking Chargers?
I can't believe I'm taking Herbert. Yeah, I don't like it.
Whoa! The disrespect on that statement.
Well, Herbert doesn't win big games, and he's gonna win this one.
Okay. I'm gonna
I
take Chiefs.
pick, not loving the pick.
I'm taking Chiefs, and I'm gonna take them to cover. I'm gonna take them to magically cover the 4. Now, could they win by 3? Yeah, sure. But I think if there's no McConkey, the Chargers' run game is not good.
Yeah, they need
Like
JK.
if they need Gus Edwards is not good, Haskins is not that great, and Vidal's a rookie who's more of a pass catching back. I think that because of that, the Chiefs, I think are going like the Chargers were very fortunate. The Chargers won by 4 points
Yeah, they should have won. I
against
agree.
Atlanta, and like I know I was talking about the Broncos earlier, and the reason why I love the Chargers this year getting double digit wins was because of their schedule, and that's what they've done. I mean, they beat Vegas, Carolina, Denver early in the year when Bo Nix was still figuring out the Saints, the Browns, the Titans, the Bengals, and the Falcons. That's all their wins. And if you notice, not many of those teams are good teams. Broncos at the time were not that good. Bo Nix was not that good at the time. I'm gonna take the Chiefs to win this game, and I'm going to trust the defense. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be another slugfest. I don't really see this game. This feels like a 21-17, 20-17 game. So
Mm-hmm.
Chargers could cover, but I'm gonna take the Chiefs to slightly cover, barely. Bengals at the Cowboys. Before the year started, most people probably thought this was a marquee playoff game at this point in the season. Both teams most likely not making the playoffs. I think you probably give both teams probably a 0% chance at this point to make the playoffs. Bengals -5.5. Over under 49.5 though, so it could be a somewhat entertaining game. And
I'm
CeeDee
actually
Lamb, I think he plays, but he's pretty banged up too.
I'm gonna take Bengals -5.5. I think Joe Burrow is like I'm dropping 400 yards. And I think just Cowboys defense isn't that good. I think
No.
maybe it's like a 35-24 type. So I think Cowboys still score points, but I think Bengals may blow them out of the water, just scoring so much.
Yeah, Bengals, they have not won in a while, and they can't keep losing games. Like
Joe
I don't
Burrow's too
think.
good.
Yeah, they've lost 3 straight games. They lost 4 of their last 5. I'm gonna take Bengals -5.5 as well. I don't think Dallas is that good of a football team. I think people are overstating their win against the Giants. It was the Giants. Congratulations, you beat Drew Lock. Do you want a cookie? I'm gonna take the Bengals. I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one. I think their offense is too powerful for a pretty underwhelming defense in the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Week 15, favorite bet. I already have
Oh
mine.
yes. Okay, you go first then.
Green Bay -152 over
Yeah, that's a good
Seattle
one. I
at
would not.
Seattle.
I would not
Like
steal it.
when we were talking last week, I was like, I hope that game you get good value on the Packers, and I didn't think it was gonna be this good a value. And let's actually let's see, is it still -152? I know yesterday was -152. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, -152, -2.5 spread. Like that.
Panthers -108 against the Cowboys.
Panthers -108. Interesting.
I like what I see from Panthers.
I think Dolphins is another one that could be interesting. They're +118 against Houston. I think that's
like
pretty
that. I
interesting.
like it.
Commanders -168. I think is another really good value. At
Dude,
Saints,
Saints are a little weird.
but there's no Taysom Hill now. That I think your
Yeah,
red
but
zone
Taysom Hill
offense.
didn't even. I think. What game was it? Because
Well, Atlanta, he scored like 3 touchdowns or something like that.
I know, but I think when they whipped the Browns, he didn't ever do much. Never mind. No, that was Browns where he went nuts. I don't think he did much against Atlanta.
Wait, the
Yeah,
Bills
he
are
did.
minus 194 now this week? They were minus 225 yesterday.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, what are they doing?
Luke, do not overthink it, man. Because I
Yeah,
felt victim
I
overthinking this.
know.
Take the Bills.
I know.
Yeah, week 15, there's a lot of good value next week. This
Mhm.
week's going to be tough to bet. There's not a lot of good value outside of Bills, really.
Mhm.
But yeah. Anything else before we close out today's episode?
No.
I'm kind of scared because we agreed on most of the picks this week. So whenever
Well, I
we
picked
do
a lot
that,
of the teams to cover, like Jags,
well, no,
and
I did
Giants, and
too.
Raiders.
Oh, you had Giants covering?
Yeah.
Okay, I had Raiders covering.
I picked
had
Falcons to
Cleveland
win.
covering.
I picked Chargers to win.
I guess we didn't really. I think
We
we
agreed on a
most
solid amount, but not
spreads.
everything. Yeah.
Well, that will do it for our episode this week. We'll be back next week with the same thing, week 14 recap, week 15 predictions, and we'll figure out a segment to talk about next week. I know this week we kind of had a not a shorter episode, but we kind of didn't have that segment because Luke has to get going here soon. But we will see you guys next week with more NFL coverage.
Peace.